Welcome to the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio.
Welcome to the Ave Podcast. How you doing today, Kevin? South Shore Ave, Kevin W.
Everything is good, Calvin. Trying to stay alive, and I guess I'm doing a pretty good job of it. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so let me at least say this about Giannis. I'll tell you the things I like about Giannis. Almost like a pros and cons list. Giannis is one of four of my favorite players in the NBA that I love watching them play every night. The other three are Embiid, is Kawhi, and the other one's Steph Curry, right? And the reason why I love Giannis specific is the story, right? Here's a Nigerian kid from Greece. Their family was dirt poor. They were treated like shit when they're in Greece. They literally got it out the mud, like underneath the mud. Comes across overseas after all the struggle, all the rawness, playing in second-rate leagues, and gets drafted, not just outside the lottery. I think it was like 14th or 15th overall. Comes in really raw, grows, becomes, this improving player that we've never seen before. Becomes this, as they say, Greek freak. He becomes Greek freak. He becomes this player that we've literally never seen. The things he can do with his body, his length, his strength, we've never seen, right? We've really never seen this, and especially because he came into the league at 6'9", he's now 7 feet tall. He made himself a player that, he came under the shadow of Jabari Parker because this was supposed to be Jabari Parker's team, and he somersaulted over his head.
Yep.
Climbed up the ladder like a mountain goat.
Took at least 4 steps past Jabari Parker.
Right.
But it's not a travel. But go ahead, yeah.
So he does all that, becomes an all-star, becomes a 2-time MVP in this league. Why do I feel like he's letting me down watching this series? Because, I ask this because watching this playoffs, not even this playoffs, sorry, I will say watching the last couple of games in this series. So, game 1 and game 2 was a disaster. They came back in game 3 and game 4. Game 5, and and you look at the stats. If you look at the stats, you would be questioning what the hell I'm talking about, because this guy had 30-something points. He basically stuffed the stat sheet. Let me just actually go over it really quick to tell you what he had the last game, which was unbelievable. Like when you look at the raw stats, you're thinking
34 or 37 points, I think, right?
So 34 points, 12 boards, 4 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. Fouls out of the game, 14 for 22 from the field, right? Why do I feel like, this guy's, what is he, 25 years old? Why do I feel like he's basically won his last MVP and he's never going to see it again? Like, to hold on to the ones that he's won really tight, because he's probably not going to win another one. And I'm saying this off the rawness of my emotion from what I saw in Game 5. And this is no disrespect or not taking away any credit, I should say, from Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant was amazing in that game. 49-point triple-double. He was amazing. But it was so much nonsense between the coaching staff, how they were calling the games, the way they're executing or trying to execute on Brooklyn. The fact that Giannis looks like his confidence is completely taken away when the games, when it's like halfway through the fourth quarter and the games are getting tight. He plays with so much bravado that I love, but it's like he's still so underdeveloped in this area, especially shooting free throws, that it drives me crazy. It drives me nuts.
I understand what you're saying. It's actually the story, fantastic. That could be a quick. Remember back in the day, like ABC would have those Sunday night movies. I think they had one for Isaiah Thomas back in the day, right?
Yeah, I remember watching that.
Yeah, like a story like that, the hardships, and hey, newsflash, ethnics have a hard time in Europe. Yeah, for what his family went through, he and his brothers and his parents and everything like that. I mean, they call him Greek now because he's bringing, fame and everything like that for the progress that he's made. We are unapologetically spoiled, Calvin. And I think it goes to show that, like how everybody gets we're in that era where everyone gets participation medals.
Oh, we're
right?
We're like right in the thick of this right now, of that era.
Right.
We're like chest high deep into that era right now.
Right. That there's that everybody gets to stand at the same podium, so everyone's at eye level. It's kind of like that realistically, as we know, like historically for watching sports for so long, there are tiers to this. There's something about, the limitations in your game. It doesn't mean that you're a bad player, but I don't know if you could throw, the greatness or whatever the case may be. Because in the playoffs, we've known this, we've seen it. No matter what, if you have that one vulnerability, the main thing is Cobra Kai. Go for the knee, sweep the leg. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's been going on. Listen, the Cobra Kai mantra or philosophy to win. I'll shake your hand after, but I have to exploit your weakness. Unfortunately, Giannis has shown, except the one game winner I know him to have followed through on was years ago against, go figure, my Knicks. Right? He hit a fadeaway jumper at the Garden to win the game. That was in the clutch. But for the most part, he's not known as that player you can go to, and there's somebody else that has the same limitation. If we're not talking a full head of steam and your ability to take your 4 steps and go to the basket with gazelle execution, then can't rely on the 3, can't rely on a consistent pull-up game, and unfortunately, if you do get fouled, you're going to the line. If you're down by 1 and he's going to the line, what do? You know what I mean? And remember Jay Will told that story about how Durant told him at a party, don't ever compare me to him. Or don't ever compare Giannis to me, kind of thing, right?
Which I mean, he's vehemently denied. Is either it was true and he's like distancing himself completely from Jay Will, or he actually didn't say it. But it's either one of the two. He's so strong against that that position or that or that statement, that story, that like it's either it was absolutely true and he's like, what the fuck are you doing telling this story? I told you that shit in private, right, you stupid mother. Or
Rappaport, yeah, go ahead.
Or yeah, you stupid mother Rappaport. Or it's Jay Will's got his stories mixed up. But go on.
So we've seen it where like the game's on the line and it's like keep the ball out of his hand. You're like the defense will be like keep the ball out of his hands. He's gonna hurt us, and like don't foul him or whatever the case. Like Dirk has had that ability. I remember when Dirk went up against the Spurs, he drove hard to the basket, got fouled by Ginobili in San Antonio. I think that was their title year where they knocked off the Spurs. Could that be right?
They went to the finals that year. They didn't win. That's when they lost to Miami. But I know what you're talking about.
Right, and he drove the lane,
yep,
like went in the clutch, that is like 2-3 feet away, got the basket and the foul, went to the line, knocked it down, boom, Dallas wins. That's what, that kind of clutch behavior. It doesn't seem to be there with Giannis yet. I know he works hard. I know the guy has airballed threes in the playoffs. But time and time again, if you're talking about exploiting weaknesses, the Raptors started it with what they did after their Game 2 loss. They made the right adjustments. Just form a wall. Stop it from galloping all over the place. Okay. Then Miami further, piggybacked off of that last year. And now this year, it's like, okay, well, just stay on Middleton and stay on everybody else. We'll take our chances with the ball in Giannis's hands.
And the thing that's crazy though is towards the end of this year, and I've said this before, but like towards the end of this year, they were doing things offensively that they put Giannis in different places instead of having him work from just the top of the key or top of the 3-point line and try to make his drive or make his move from there. They were moving him on certain parts of the floor where you're like, okay, I kept saying, like, if this is the Giannis they're gonna showcase, where he's working from the mid post or on the low block, and he's making passes out of there and getting double teamed and getting guys in foul trouble. I'm like, okay, now this Milwaukee team is going to be a different team, and at times this is what they did, especially with the series in Miami. I thought that was going to be a closer series. I thought Milwaukee was better, but I was not. The last thing I was expecting was a sweep. But when you looked at that series, it's like they went out and exploited mismatches. And that's sports, that's basketball especially, but you exploit the mismatches. So in this series now, and again, because Brooklyn has a three-headed monster, you're like, I was saying Brooklyn's going to win in 7, but where Milwaukee's going to have the advantage is their size. And putting Giannis on the low block, putting him on the mid block, having guys like Blake Griffin guard him, who's not a defender. He's going to try harder now because he doesn't have that offensive responsibility on the defensive end. But, you're having Blake Griffin and certain guys guarding you or a KD at times and stuff. If you're working from that kind of position, you're going to be successful. If Brook Lopez is working from that kind of position, you're going to be successful. So as much as this is on Giannis as well in terms of, not working or not making free throws, because when he was coming into the league, when you watch his shot, like there's a video on YouTube where it breaks down his shot year to year from his rookie year till now. When you watch him shoot from his rookie year, it's more fluid than how he shoots now, which is weird, right? Like, so what it tells me is, number one, it's definitely between the ears, because when you look at his face, and this is what kind of disappoints me, is when you're looking at his face, and his face says to you, like, my wires in my brain are fried right now, as I'm about to walk in the line. Like, when like something just like short circuits, like that's what he looks like every time he walks to the free throw line. And number one, I look at it and I'm like, yo, you're the MVP. I love the fact that he doesn't work with other people. I would advise him to continue to do that. My issue is, what is it exactly you're working on? Because at this stage, if you're still looking like a deer in headlights trying to shoot free throws, like in pressure situations after all this time, or like there's points in the game, Kevin, where this man is trying to break down Blake Griffin on the top of the key. He's trying to break him down, tries to go by him, doesn't get by him, posts him up, then basically backpedals back to the 3-point line to start over again. And everybody's just sitting there watching it. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then more importantly, what the is Budenholzer doing? Like, and this is why I'm saying before, I'm like, they're gonna have to fire him. They're gonna have to fire him. And now you're hearing the rumors that, like, before he stepped down from the job today, that Rick Carlisle, the rumor is that he's looking at that Milwaukee situation. And it's ironic he said that before, that you heard those rumors before he stepped down, but that's the rumor because he's probably thinking, oh, there's a couple things here we could do here that could, and he's a good coach. There's a few things we could do here to adjust this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we got to take the ball out of his hands a little bit and have him moving around like this. And your analogy about the Cobra Kai and sweeping the leg, why wasn't anybody sweeping Harden's leg? Because like, yo, the guy's playing on one leg. Nobody attacked this guy for pretty much the whole game, other than like a few times when Drew Holiday would do it. And then
when Drew Holiday realized, like, yo, I don't know what sometimes you gotta just you gotta just take over, man. Like, literally, they're putting you on a power play. Yeah. It's a power play. You know the man's lower body isn't working. What did Phoenix do to Anthony Davis? And again, it's sports. It's nothing personal. But what did Phoenix do with Chris Paul and Devin Booker on like consecutive possessions in the first 3-4 minutes of the game. In the first 4 minutes of the game.
Until he basically broke. They ran at him until they broke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every play, everybody clear out, top of the key. Come on, I'm taking this guy off. Get him off.
And Harden is not, and don't get me wrong. I as bad as Harden has been defensively, I'm always the guy that says I don't think he's as terrible because I think he has it in himself to be at least a better defender that
right.
than the one that he constantly shows us, which I know sounds funny to say, but with that said, I mean he's not a defender anyway, even with two healthy legs. So that is guys on and you saw it the times that when guys decided to drive. Like, he basically guided them to the basket. Like, there was nothing. He gave them absolutely no resistance whatsoever. So I'm like, why aren't you guys, like, completely feeding this over and over again? Running pick and rolls until you get to Harden and then just trying to exploit Harden until, he either gets hurt or, B, they have to just switch or just pull him on the bench because he's getting abused too much on the defensive end. Like there's so much things with the Bucks right now that like honestly like watching those two games, watching that Bucks game, and we're gonna get to Philly right now, but like watching those two games, honestly, it was so frustrating to watch because I like one of my pet peeves of basketball, playing it, watching it, I hate dumb basketball, and that to me was like two of the stupidest games I've watched all playoffs, and it was driving me insane. While everybody's celebrating the Hawks. Everybody's celebrating KD's performance. I'm sitting on the couch with like a scowl on my face.
It's about, again, it's playoffs. It's about adjustments. It's about exploitation. Did the Clippers not make the adjustment to attack Rudy Gobert, knowing fully well that he's long, but just keep him moving and like confuse him, right? Put a little bit of distance between you. It'll take him a while to gather and come find you. Morris is pulling up over him. Paul George is pulling up over him. Like, that adjustment was so good, Paul George can walk the streets again. You know what I mean? But look at what Atlanta did with Julius Randle. Julius Randle's biggest weakness, and RJ, is that they're heavily left-handed. Okay, well, just gear everything up, cut off the left, force them right. That's all it is. You just look for the weakness and opportunity, you exploit it, and you try to advance. Doc Rivers, man, I don't know. Jeez. Props to Nate McMillan. Props to Tyronn Lue. Props to Steve Nash. And props to Monty Williams. It's what you have to do. Budenholzer, like, can you make adjustments? Is it possible?
He reminds me a lot of Dwayne Casey. They make adjustments like the next game. So if things are happening in the first half that they haven't seen, they're not going to sit there at halftime and make that adjustment. They're going to make the adjustment the following game. And if
Good. So he's going to gear up for 27.
Right. So if I was going to say, if it's Game 7, then they're going to make adjustments for October. Like
right.
You know.
So they're going to try to make adjustments for Jeff Green's 20-some odd points, 27 points, and Blake Griffin's 17. Right. You can't listen. At a certain point, it's going to run thin, and I know Giannis is like, Budge is his coach and whatever, but if you don't make the right adjustments at a certain point, it's done. You'll fall on deaf ears, you'll lose the team. Terry Stotts, didn't it just happen to Stotts in Portland? Nothing changed. It got stagnant.
Geez, Kevin, it didn't even last with New Orleans with Stan Van Gundy, the guy last of the year. Ooh. Right? Yeah. Like, look how fast that axe came down in his ass. Like, it's crazy, Like, to what you're saying though, and I agree. Like, it's a combination of all those things. But I just think just looking at Giannis, it's like a reflection. And I'm not blaming this on Giannis, right? I'm not blaming that loss on Giannis. But like, regardless if they because they play tonight, so regardless if they win Game 6 or they go home, like the fact that you're still having to make adjustments for the fact that you can't shoot free throws. You're still having to make adjustments you're still at the top of the key, like it's 2019 all over again against the Raptors, and like the coaching staff has not made any adjustments for 3 years. Like to me, I find that mind-boggling. I get year one, it's their first time getting to that level. I had no faults with when they figured out Giannis. I did not rip Giannis at all. I'm like, yo, this is his first time. Almost every great player, trips that their first time getting to that level. Almost all of them do.
Right.
Last year, you're like, okay, come on, like this is something. I know this is the bubble. This is a different situation. I know guys are hurt, but like you can still make better adjustments than this. Miami is a team that's gonna pick those scabs for you. You know what I mean? If you don't cover it up properly. But this series, like this New Jersey, I'm sorry, I keep saying New Jersey, but this Brooklyn team they're not a defensive team whatsoever, and you can't figure this out. Like at this point, I'm like, unless they win the championship, and honestly, even if they do, I might make history and fire the coach still. He might be the first coach in NBA history to win the NBA title and still get fired right after the parade. Because I'm like, you can't keep doing this, man. Like it's like Groundhog Day. Like I thought it was mind-boggling. Don't even get me started on Brook Lopez, because Brook Lopez is the same thing too. Like he's out there shooting threes 3-4 feet behind the line, and he has guys that are like half his size guarding him. Nobody thought for a second, hey, maybe have him roll with that guy to the basket and get him in the post for like 4 minutes. Let's just see what happens. And the joke is, when he actually gets the ball in the paint, he's scoring. So
sure, but maybe they have this mysterious guy in their chat group that's giving them advice on what to do on the perimeter. And then at the end of the season, we're just going to find out that it was Kristaps Porzingis telling them to just stay out there and shoot threes and pose when you do it. You know what I mean? What a waste of 7 feet. Like the tallest player for Brooklyn is DeAndre Jordan, and he's not even playing.
I know.
It's usually Blake Griffin.
I know.
And it's almost as insulting as JJ Barea guarding LeBron in the first when they played Miami in the finals, because they knew LeBron couldn't post up.
Yeah.
But again, it's exploiting. Okay, and Blake Griffin is old enough now. He knows. He's savvy. You know what I mean? Props to PJ Tucker for putting in that fight, because I think Milwaukee would have been flustered without him.
I think so too.
Stepping up and taking that challenge and taking the hit. I mean, I can't believe I'm watching now on my screen. Like, I watched TV today, and on the ticker, for some reason, it's headline news that Giannis is open to guarding Durant if necessary, if called upon. I'm like, how the hell is this ticker news?
I know.
Of course you should. Defensive, all defensive team. So listen.
They not only did they not double team him, he never guarded him once that whole game. Like, how is that possible? and again, this is a reflection. Like I said, Giannis, I think, is a reflection of what's happening with that whole team right now. It's borderline, and I'm not calling Giannis stupid, but it's borders on stupidity. Like, Giannis is not taking the mantle and saying, "Hey, I want to guard this guy." Like, he's not. Like I said, for a guy that's a 2-time MVP and the kind of power that he's yielding, he doesn't use it. Because a star player would say, listen, I don't give a shit what the play call is right now or what the assignment is. Move out my way, I'm guarding KD. If KD gets 50 on me, I can live with that. Or I won't live with it, but I will quicker live with that than me guarding Blake Griffin on the other side of the floor, watching my man get destroyed for 50 and not doing anything about it. And it's not to say, like, and KD's unguardable, but he makes them work at least, or at least tries to. So that's the whole thing. It's like you're still stuck on this strategy where it's like I know you don't want to disrespect your coach, but you're still like, yeah, this is my coach. Whatever he tells me to do, this is what I'm going to do. And it's like, Giannis, you're a 2-time max player MVP. Like, at some
regular
point in the game,
season MVP.
No, but I'm saying at some point you got to just say, listen, I don't care what the assignment is. That's my guy now. I'm the captain of this ship now. You know what I mean? I dare you to pull me. I dare you to pull me. But I'm guarding this guy. Everybody else, just you make the adjustments. I'm sticking with him. And if it's not going to be me, it'll be PJ Tucker to give a different look here and there. But I'm going to guard that guy now.
But Durant was torching him in Brooklyn in the first 2 games.
Sure, which is fine, which yeah. I get. But you can't sit there and watch that happen. And the coaching staff can't sit there and be like, well, he's torching Middleton. I guess we got to deal with it. Like, it's like there's got to be different adjustments there. And this is, and like I said, it borders on, like, what is it you're working on? And speaking of which, the quick story. So I didn't get a chance in 2016 to go with my brothers and their friends to Vegas, right? Like for the summer league. So that's that year when they went to summer league. Ben Simmons was playing in the summer league, right? I watched a couple of games on the TV and I was amazed by his passing and stuff. But I remember in particular, one of my brothers, he was saying when he got back home, and we argued back and forth. But he was like, I let him obviously win this argument because he was actually watching it in person. But he's like, the craziest shit is that Ben Simmons in summer league wouldn't shoot to the point where he was running the offense basically almost at the top of the free throw line, and his man was in the middle of the key. The crowd is telling him to shoot the ball, and he wouldn't shoot it. And he's wide open. They're purposely leaving him open from the free throw line, not the 3-point line, the free throw line, and he wouldn't shoot it. And they're like, yo, that is some weird shit. Because, like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, you know what, even that happens, you know what, he'll get over it. He's a rookie, whatever. He's probably got a mental block, whatever. He just got to deal with it. It's between the years, but we can figure it out. Whatever. It's fine. I'm saying we like I work for the Sixers, but so we fast forward now 5 years. 5 years later, you're in a series that you should be winning. And again, I'm not going to sit here and blame all of this on Ben Simmons, in terms of the collapse, because the collapse is a total team effort, right? But at the same time, I lay a part of the responsibility on him. And the reason why, Kevin, is because, like, you're the point guard. You are the point guard, right? So when a team when you're up 26 and everything's getting reversed and this team is coming back and making that comeback, one of the things as a point guard that you do, right, or as a main creator or a playmaker, is you now start to dictate. You kind of try to stop the flood from happening first. But you do that by controlling the tempo when you have the ball. You control the pace.
And the clock, yeah.
You control the clock. You make sure that certain guys, like if I'm not the scorer, I'm making sure Joel is getting proper looks in the post. Get down in the post. I'm making sure he's getting proper looks so that we're going to take advantage of this clock, of these free throws, and we're going to win this game. And you know what? And then here's the biggest thing. Now, if I get fouled, I'm going to make these free throws. The fact that he can't forget the threes, and just kind of like Giannis too. Forget the threes. He's not a pull-up jump shot. He doesn't have a mid-range jump shot. He's not going to do that. I don't even care about that right now. We're going to work with the assets that you have. The fact that you can't make free throws as a point guard is detrimental to your team's success, because you can't be the greatest. You can't be the best creator on the team and not be in games or be afraid to be aggressive, because you're trying to get rid of the ball instead of trying to make the plays happen and be aggressive and control pace and control tempo. You're trying to get the ball out of your hands so that you don't get fouled. You can't do that. That's impossible. You cannot do that.
But Calvin, why are we acting surprised that Ben Simmons can't shoot? We knew he couldn't shoot in LSU. You knew, your family knew that, and everyone there knew he didn't want to shoot in summer league. Brett Brown was like, I'm encouraging the guy I'm going to waste the possession just to make him comfortable, shoot 1 3 a game. And he still didn't shoot. And then he goes against Toronto. He doesn't shoot there. Jimmy Butler says, F this, I'm out. Flexes to Miami. You figure it out. Point guard. And now in a game, surprise, surprise, you need to be able to shoot, or at least make your free throws in order to go deep in the playoffs. And yet again, his limitations will become Philadelphia's limitations. Stephen A. Smith said it. That he doesn't think the Sixers can win a championship with Ben Simmons without Ben Simmons knowing how to shoot. And he has shown consistently. He, again, strong left hand. But he has shown no evolution in his game. So if he stagnates, Philly stagnates.
Yeah.
16 points off of talent, great. But if you're bricking all these free throws and missing all these shots, you should be averaging 26, stepping it up in the playoffs. But Trae Young and Kevin Huerter are laughing at you on the way back to Atlanta, and the Migos too. They're laughing at you because, what's that? Is it Huerter, the redheaded kid?
Yeah, the redhead, yeah.
Yeah, that guy fouling you on purpose, right? They're just sweeping the leg, and you're at home having people mimicking, what a free throw's supposed to look like and cheering you on like you're doing something special. The too many participation medals, man, there are levels to this. Only one team's going to hoist the championship, and Embiid's hurt. So Embiid is laboring. Ben Simmons can't shoot, and Tobias Harris is still cashing checks. Seth Curry balled out. He's not going to do that again.
But I was going to say, here's what's crazy. Last night, him and Embiid were the only two players to score on Philly in the second half. They were the only two guys that got field goals in the second half of the entire game. Look at the box score. They're the only two that scored in the second. And Curry actually led them in scoring. Not Steph. Seth.
the one that Steph helped get back in the league.
Right.
Saved from the doldrums of Sacramento and whatever. Yeah.
That guy, and credit to him because he's been playing solid. Like I like Seth Curry. I'm not even knocking him. I like him. But again, this is a reflection of Ben Simmons. I'm sorry. This is why this episode is named Giannis and Ben because like those two, it's like a reflection of the limitations of their championship potential is limited until those guys work on those two things. As long as you're going to have, Milwaukee and Giannis are married together. Like they're not, like Giannis ain't going nowhere, But Philly, it's like, early in the year, and I was talking to one of our other South Shore family members, talking to Headley earlier last night. And what was interesting is he reminded me of a point where, or we were talking about last night, we were talking about how Harden was looking to get offloaded from Houston, and they wanted to, the rumor was, he wanted to get Philly, but because he wanted to get traded to Philly, or Philly was one of the options. But I think because, of Daryl Morey's, their history and stuff, he didn't want to, I don't know if they wanted to make a trade with him. They didn't want to get fleeced and work with that guy again, after everything that's happened in the last year or whatever. So it didn't work. Part of it was like, they didn't I think that they didn't want to part with Ben Simmons. That was part of it. Like the Rockets wanted Ben Simmons, and Philly was like, no. And I'm like, why are we doing this? It's Harden. Like, I understand because of the age, but I'm like if stuff hits the fan, Harden can still make free throws. He's still going to make certain shots. You know what I mean?
On one leg.
Well, right now that's the case, but I'm just saying, like, in general, you can do those things. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, I'm like, what am I missing here? And like, I understand the tantalizing potential of Ben Simmons. It's like, you can see it, but again, this is year 5. He's been in the league 5 years now, and he's like, your point guard can't shoot. He's making Shaq look like Mark Price. He's making Shaq look like Steph Curry from the free throw line. Shaq averaged 50%. He's not even close to that, Kevin, in the playoffs. He's not even close.
Hack a Ben. Was he 4 for 14 or 4 for 11?
14 last night, but
yeah,
there was a point in the series he was actually 5 for 20.
So again, this is a team, because of those limitations, they choked away an 18-point lead and a 26-point lead. One at home, one away. Right? Mm-hmm. And then they were up ahead, and, Joel the Troll was making fun of people and, going at it. Who's getting the last laugh? At the end of the day, listen, I understand that we're going to say, like, oh, it's year 5 for Ben. It's year 5 for Ben in the NBA. He's been playing basketball for years. Mm-hmm. You still can't shoot. Your audition tape was you can't shoot. Why are we expecting William Hung to turn into Brian McKnight? You know what I mean? He can't shoot. Just, but he's a singer. No, it doesn't matter. There are levels to this. You don't have it. You never had the range. So why are we trying to act like we're surprised that, if Ben Simmons knows how to shoot? Why are you giving him $150-some-odd million?
Well, here's why I'm harping on him. I'll tell you why. Because in the regular season, he shot 61% from the free throw line, and in the playoffs, he's shooting 33%. That's why. Who drops 30%? in the playoffs. To that degree, it's not even like 61 to 56%. It's 62 or whatever. To 61% to 33%. That's 28 percentage points.
It's between the ears.
It's but remember between the ears.
You remember that reporter who just cared about his team, right? Hey, have you thought about taking Ben out? Why would I do that? You don't know basketball if you don't want to take. He does other things like contribute to losing 18 and 26 point leads. And he's your.
And you know what? And I remember that with Doc. I mean, what do you expect Doc to say? You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna have to defend. He's gonna ride with his guy. He's gonna defend them. I get that. I totally get that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, like I said, if there's that meme. I don't know if you've seen that picture of Kennard from The Wire, the kid that shot Omar, and he has there's a picture of him with his eyebrows up, like who you talking to? So that's the reporter that asked him that question. If you look at his face now, like he has that meme. He's that living embodiment of that meme now, because I just think it's crazy. Like, and I think he's thinking that's crazy too. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, at the end of the day, this is the point of it all. Is like. A couple of things that they need to go do, the two of them, Ben and Giannis, is two words: sports psychologist. Figure this shit out, because you have unlimited access to the gym. You can pay for shooting coaches, trainers. You have everything at your disposal to be better than this. And I'm not saying these guys need to be like shooting 85%, but you can't shoot like what they're shooting now. And to Ben Simmons again. For a point guard to be shooting 33% from the free throw line, Kevin, that like you're like, there's no way you're gonna succeed. I don't care how the game has changed. I don't care what he can do outside of a skill set, everything else in the skill set. I don't care what happens. You do that, you are not winning. Period. Not when you're the main ball handler and the main creator. Can't work. It is not gonna happen. Like, there's only so much Embiid can do. Embiid's not a point guard. And even he missed his free throws the last game too. But out of insult to injury. But it's like, what else do you want him to do? It's funny. In some ways, I think it's actually make or break time for kind of both of those players, in a sense where, especially more so Simmons, because if they lose in the second round to Atlanta, and those stats bear out like a sore thumb, shooting 33% from the free throw line. Basically, the championship potential is going to be on his back. It's going to he's going to take all the blame, or most of the blame, for that. You know what I mean? Or at least I would say the majority of the blame is going to take for that, and for those simple reasons. Like, what is it you're doing in the summertime that's not helping you become better at this area? Like, I don't even care about the threes, making jump shots, because the thing is with Jason Kidd, like the comp between like him, that was his comp coming out of college. But the thing with Jason Kidd is, we remember how he was. Like, when he came into the league, they were calling him acing because he had no J, right? But right. At the same time, if you fouled him, he was making his free throws. So he still had it. He wasn't afraid to get fouled. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't afraid to get fouled. Like, fumbling the ball at the end of a game on a quick dump down pass for you to get a quick dunk, from Giannis the other night. And trying to get the ball like a hot potato as fast as possible in terms of Ben Simmons, that's fear. That's between the ears. You know what I mean? So I'm like, how do you not figure this out now? It's like, I know this is supposed to be like 30 minutes, and we're going to end pretty much now, but like, goddamn, man, like, I don't know what to say, man. Just, I'm confused by it all.
They clench, it gets tight, and temperature's rising, man. Mob deep. You realize it. They think about it when, the game is on the line, the series is on the line, people are watching, they're exploiting my liability. Remember, and when we say it's between the ears, Rick Barry once said that he was helping coach Shaq at one point, right? And other people used to say that, in practice, Shaq would hit his free throws, but during the game, couldn't hit him. And he eventually, it was what it was. It was between his ears. Chris Webber was a very bad free throw shooter in his first couple of years. And he gradually got better, later on in his career, right? Especially through Sacramento. He increased significantly. So, yeah, there's some people you got to wonder, like, oh, Markelle Fultz couldn't shoot. And now Markelle is kind of, he's made some improvements. Right? So, yeah, if we see Ben Simmons posing on a red carpet, like, with Kendall or something like that down the road, and he comes back and he's still not shooting, I mean,
yeah, it's not.
There's some rough cities out there, but luckily Philadelphia is known for. So he better come back. He better come back with something new to keep him at bay. Because
can't have that. And you can't have your point guard in the fourth quarter being treated like he's Ben Wallace. That can't happen either.
When Ben Wallace is sending Ben Simmons texts like, "Yo, call me, I'll give you some tips," you know that you're really bad at what you're doing.
You know what? So let's wrap it up here because, like I said, I want to come with another pod next week about the results of the rest of the series and the conference finals and everything else. But thank you, Kevin, for hopping on this episode. This little mini. I can't even say it's a mini episode because it's like over a half hour now. But thank you for hopping on anyway and just letting us, I guess, just venting a little bit about those two guys because, like I said, man, I was so frustrated and I'm still annoyed, honestly, watching like just thinking about those two games. It bothered the hell out of me.
You really have to think about the audacity you have of expecting quote unquote superstars to deliver in clutch moments. How dare you? The audacity, the gall, Calvin. This is where we're at. This is where we're making excuses for people and blah, 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 blah. Yo, you're in the league, you can't shoot. Yeah.
Last thing. So Serge Ibaka has a Paul George apology form that's circulating on Instagram and stuff. Basically, taking names and having people fill out forms to apologize of all the knocking that they've been doing for Paul George over the last couple of years. Do you want to sign it?
No. So I'll tell you why. Tyronn Lue did a great job in making his adjustments, but the fact that Paul George finally shot over 50% from the field and is the highest paid player on the Clippers, no. Keep that up for the next 2 games. Deliver like no one's business. Exceed expectations. Fine, but the fact that you shot 50% from the field and you're the highest paid player on the team, this is what we're celebrating? Really?
Hey,
really?
Hey, you know what? The answer was supposed to be yes. Anyways, thank you for hopping on this episode. It's been a pleasure.
Let me tell you something. You don't start off with me and try to leave on a high note. You're not Costanza. I'm going to rip you up.
We'll be back. Like I said, we'll be back again next week. For all the listeners, thank you for supporting and tuning in. Hit the like button, the favorite button, click on all the 5 stars or wherever it's available. And to listen to all my past episodes, check out SouthShoreAve.com. Once again, that's SouthShoreAve.com. For Kevin W., this is Cal C. And you just tuned into the Ave Podcast on South Shore Ave Radio. Until next week, we out. Peace. Have a great weekend.
Later.